Oh man, I'm excited about this. All right, sound check. How is this? Seems like the game audio might be a little low. I have sound. Sound is good. Yeah, and I'm super glad that this is working out like this because just because I'm going to turn the game volume all the way up. Let's see how that is. That might actually be what I want. For a variety of factors all coming together, I am able to do some of these streams again and do them at a time that in Pacific time is reasonable to hopefully some more people. I know that in the past when I've done this show, it's been sort of, after work, so late in the evening in California, which for anyone else anywhere in the world other than California gets to be very, very late at night. I am now, working from home for this past semester and for next semester. And right now classes have gotten out. Finals have finished. Grades have been submitted. I still have some work, but it has lightened up considerably at the end of the semester, going into the holidays. So this week and next week, my wife is working out of the house. I have the house to myself, and I'm just going to do some casual streams in the afternoons to catch up on some games that I've been wanting to play since 2018 when I did the last sort of like regularly scheduled play-by-play. So yeah, my setup is all new. I'm gonna have to put it together over the next couple of weeks probably, and get everything figured out. But I'm hoping actually that next semester, so in the new year in 2021, at least in the spring, depending on how schedules work out, it might be possible for me to do streams like this once or twice a week in the afternoons, since I'm at home and I have a little bit more flexibility to do that. So last semester was a nightmare, just in terms of doing work from home. We'll see how next semester actually turns out, but it would be fun to get back into play-by-play. I have missed it, and I've missed getting to hang out with folks and talk about games, and I've missed having the motivation, the excuse to stay on top of really cool game releases. There have been a bunch of them. So Lucifer Within Us is one of the more recent, came out this fall. And I played a demo version over the summer for Indiecade. And I played, I think it was like most of the first chapter. Like not quite the resolution of the first chapter, but like the beginning part of it. And it was super rad. If the game is on, you can't hear it. It is... Is there no background music? Is there no sort of like... Is it just me? Interesting. This game is... It's very low. Okay. It might get louder when we get off the title screen, so we'll check that. Yeah, it's just ambient. Cool. This game is a like post-singularity transcendent technology sort of a world, where you play as a detective who is solving crimes related to sort of cyber theology. It's a super duper interesting premise. and like world that they've built that I find myself having a little bit of difficulty describing, because I think it plays with a lot of sci-fi tropes, but in a way that is a little bit atypical, but atypical in a way that really resonates with me, that I find super intriguing and engaging. So let's jump in. Let's play this game. I'm going to play just a couple of hours in the afternoons is my plan for the rest of this week and next week. And if there are folks in the chat who want to do a Q&A at the end, we can save some time for that. But yeah. Did I... Hold on, give me 1 second. I just want to double check that I am not still playing the version of this. No. Good. Okay. Because I had a beta for this game, and but I think this is the release version. So we're gonna start. I'm gonna start with the Two Brothers case. 100 years without murder. 100 years without demonic possession. Then this. I am Sister Ada, exorcist and investigator. This is my testament to the massacre at St. Walpurgis Abbey. It is truth. Do not believe the lies of my accusers. Sister Ada. St. Walpurgis Abbey, a cybernetics workshop.
Sister Ada, welcome. I am Virgil, Chief Inquisitor at St. Walpurgis Abbey.
Okay.
We may be in need of your talents as an exorcist.
Okay.
You can survey the evidence yourself, but I think you will agree.
Has there truly been a murder?
I don't remember if the beta that I played had voice acting. I kind of think it didn't.
It seems so.
But I like it.
A respected priestess, Mother Miriam, passed this morning under suspicious
Haley.
circumstances.
It's just not very loud. Hold on. Because this voice acting is good. I want to make sure you hear it. What I'm going to do, because I've got it at max now, I'm going to put my my mic volume down just a little bit. Like there, maybe. Okay, so I should have just gotten quieter. But hopefully the mix is a little bit better now. Let's see how that goes. And once I get out of this dialogue, maybe there's settings we can mess with. Respected priestess Mother Miriam passed this morning under suspicious circumstances.
Here, even now, possessing someone.
Okay, demons possess people.
Exactly?
Mother Miriam was only recently appointed as successor to Abbot Gregory. This morning, she came to the workshop to receive her coronet of office.
Something went wrong with the installation.
I really like this background scene. Like, there's a lot going on, but it's not distracting. Like, the aesthetics for this in general are really good, really strong highlights.
Yes, to put it mildly, the coronet oversurged, killing Mother Miriam. Brace yourself for the sight.
Then the workshop operators, Gideon and Reuben, are the prime suspects. They are brothers, right?
Yes, but it's highly out of character for Gideon or Reuben to kill someone. Even so, they were the only ones present when Mother Miriam died.
Daemons nurture our sinful desires into unthinkable actions, Virgil. One of the brothers has surely been seduced by a daemon. Whichever it is, I will unmask his lies and cast out the daemon within him.
Ooh.
May Einsoff's will be done. Amen.
Einsoff's will.
To exorcise a daemon, we must uncover 4 things. First, the suspect. We must identify which sinner is possessed by a daemon. Second, the opportunity. When exactly was the murder committed? We can pinpoint the opportunity by analyzing each suspect's testimonies. Third, the means by which the murder has been committed. The means can be found among the physical evidence at the scene of the incident.
Okay.
Fourth, the motive of the murderer, which can be found in their inner world, their sanctum. The motive will tell us which daemon possesses the sinner.
So means, motive, opportunity, and suspect.
Very well. Let us begin our holy work.
I just really enjoy the, like, that sanctimonious, sanctified, like, let us begin our holy work of hacking this crime scene. It's real good. Okay, so we are going to see in just a minute, I think, why I like this game so much. But let's talk to these people. Gideon, younger brother. Reuben, elder brother. Let's talk to Gideon first.
This is madness! I will not suffer this injustice!
Whoa.
I am Gideon the Grand, the greatest cybernetician of our generation.
Damn, Gideon.
I am blessed. I don't know what went wrong this morning. My hands are guided by the divine.
I see only gaudy trinkets here. Mother Miriam died by your hands. Is that not so?
No voice. No, why would I harm her? Wait, did we just lose voice? Mother Miriam was my patron. She loved me like a son. I did nothing wrong. The consecration chamber must have been compromised. What? What happened to the voice acting? It was so good. Sister Ada is here to seek the truth, Gideon. You have nothing to fear if you are innocent. I also like his half cape kind of a thing with all those angles. Like, very good. I like it. Please hear Gideon's testimony, Sister Ada, and judge for yourself if he speaks true. I got past the demo section. Yeah. Testimony of a suspect is divided into events. You can access detailed descriptions of events by hovering over them. You can manipulate the timeline marker to navigate to any moment in the testimony. So this is a sci-fi cyber theocracy detective game that involves skimming through a timeline in order to discover means, motive, and opportunity. Like, how fucking cool is that? I love this premise so much. Let's listen to what Gideon has to say.
Mother Miriam came to me for her consecration ceremony. I've performed this many times before, so I was confident.
So we're seeing the scene play out per Gideon's, like, description of events.
To prepare for the ceremony, I ordered Reuben to take Mother Miriam to the consecration chamber. Meanwhile, I adjusted the coronet's amplification.
Wait a second. Let's re-examine what he said about Miriam's arrival. All the way back to Miriam. Okay. Interesting. Gideon does not mention Reuben being present while greeting Mother Miriam. Let's see, he greets her himself. Reuben's not there.
To prepare for this,
and then
Mother
Reuben
Miriam
comes
came
over.
to me for her
Okay.
consecration ceremony.
Let's select
performed
Miriam's
this many
arrival
times
and ask
before,
Gideon
so
about
I
it.
was
Ask. I should remember that I can ask a suspect about any statement in a testimony. But not any more granular than that, huh? So it's just an ask button. Okay. Were you alone when greeting Mother Miriam? Yes, I'm certain that I was alone then. He insists he was alone. I wonder if Reuben will corroborate this. For now, let's finish hearing the rest of his testimony. Okay.
To
Go back
prepare
over
for the
here.
ceremony, Meanwhile, I adjusted the coronet's amplification at my work table, and then placed it on Mother Miriam's head.
Oh, cool fruit. That's rad. Ada is voiced by Frida Wolf. who was Ryder in Mass Effect. In Mass Effect Andromeda. That's cool. Okay.
We began by closing our eyes and praying together to Ein Sof. I thought I heard the chamber open, but didn't think much of it.
Didn't think much of it, huh? Seems like the sort of thing...
Then I activated the Consecration Chamber and began the ceremony itself. The Aether output was within safe ranges.
Ooh! Ooh! Oh, I love that music! Jesus! Okay, that's brutal. That is... Holy shit. Holy shit. Then it happened. Mother Miriam was killed. That's impossible. I had everything under control. That was horrific. That was like... Wow.
An exorcist? Surely there are no demons here, though. This was an accident,
oh no.
wasn't it?
Why does everybody pronounce demons differently?
If Gideon is possessed, that would mean he did it on purpose. Horrible.
You must be the elder brother.
Your name?
Yes, my name is Ruben Garamond. I am responsible for the engineering and design of our implants.
How did Mother Miriam die, exactly?
It was a completely preventable accident. Mother Miriam died because Gideon deliberately flouted the ceremonial guidelines for his own glory. Gideon may be my flesh and blood, but he must take responsibility for his negligence.
Let us hear what Ruben has to say. Keep in mind that Ruben's testimony may differ greatly from Gideon's version of events. If an event is corroborated by another suspect's testimony, it will be marked as verified on the timeline. Jason. Alright.
Mother Miriam came to us to receive a consecration ceremony, but she wanted something extravagant. Gideon suggested setting the coronet to have maximum ether output. I warned him that doing so is highly dangerous.
Okay. So already fairly different.
Gideon convinced her to move forward with the ceremony anyway. Since he was going to handle everything, I went back to my tasks.
Like totally different. Like where Ruben is totally different. This part of his testimony is rather long and repetitive. Let's move ahead to the next section. Okay. Try to stop ceremony.
When Gideon activated the consecration chamber, I immediately felt something was wrong. I begged Gideon to stop, but he didn't listen.
Wow. Okay. That's such a brutal death. Okay, now that we've heard the testimony from each suspect, let's think carefully. There's only one truth to the chain of events of this morning, and I doubt that either brother has told it to us, because that's how detective stories work. So we must rely on Ein Sof's greatest gift to us, our minds. There are three ways we should consider what we've discovered. First is deduction, since there can only be one truth. If two things don't align, one or both of them are false. If Gideon and Reuben do not agree on something, someone is lying. Or, if what they say does not match the evidence I find, then they must be lying. Second is induction. I should base my theory based on what I discover. If my theory does not align with any of the testimonies or evidence that I find, then I should discard it. If two theories are both possible, then I should prefer the one that has more information that supports it. That said, induction alone is usually not enough. Finally, abduction. I must hypothesize what could have happened, filling gaps in information with my imagination. This is the fastest route and the most powerful way of thinking, but also the most fraught. I should engage in each of the three ways in order to uncover the truth. So rad. I also like that little, like, holographic pointer thing when I click. Alright, so I'm going to do some investigation. Gideon's workstation. Consecration Ceremony, a valuable piece of physical evidence. A new entry is now added to your evidence panel, which can be found on the lower left of your display. There, you can access detailed information about the consecration ceremony. So lower left... Wait, I gotta get through this. You must present them to the suspects in order to discover any contradictions. So this tab down here, immediately where you can't see, behind my beautiful face, I have a little consecration ceremony. Place the coronet on the recipient of the in the chamber. The performer and the recipient pray in silence. Begin the song to start modulating the aether. Intensify the aether output by bringing the performance to a crescendo. Okay. Meanwhile, I also have characters down here. So Mother Miriam, victim, newly appointed voice of Ain Soph, who was scheduled to receive an aether coronet implant. Gideon, younger brother, casts the casing and ornaments of implants and handles ceremonial aspects. And then, what does Reuben actually do? Less popular than Gideon due to his dour, cynical demeanor and his focus on the engineering of the implants. Okay, got it. And then the coronet limiter. A new piece of evidence. Let's examine it now. Found in Gideon's workspace in pristine condition, the component is required to safely install the coronet without causing an aether oversurge. Huh. Interesting. Interesting little bit of evidence there. Okay, there's more stuff for me to look at, but actually that seems really juicy. Let me... How do I... ask him about this stuff? Select any evidence and ask him about it. Coronet limiter. I should remember that I can ask a suspect about any evidence that I find. Recognize this component, Gideon. It was found at your workstation. Coronet limiter. Impossible. But the explosion, how can it be undamaged? Someone must have removed it from the coronet prior to the ceremony, all but ensuring that the ceremony would end in a bloody mess. I had nothing to do with this. Why would I sabotage my own work? Why? Indeed. Okay. So...
Mother Miriam came to me for her consecration ceremony.
I can ask him about Reuben's?
Before, so I was confident.
Let me do that. I don't really recall what he said or did at this time. Okay. Yes, obviously Reuben agrees with that Mother Miriam arrived at that time. What more to it is there? Okay. Then let me ask Reuben about those things.
Gideon suggests.
They didn't heed your warning. Why not? Gideon believes that his so-called genius makes him impervious to danger. An ordinary man might fail, but not Gideon the Grand. As for Mother Miriam, she only has ears for Gideon. Today was no different. Okay. Okay. I don't know where that leaves me. I sort of wanted to understand this contradiction between Reuben being involved in the conversation, whereas in Gideon's version, he's just not even there. But whatever. Let's examine more physical evidence. Coronet blueprints. Plans for constructing the Aether Coronet. Purpose of the device seems to be to amplify the user's Aether output. What the hell is Aether output? The components are amplifier, casing, and limiter. Okay, and then... Wait, wasn't there another thing that I could investigate there? I guess not. What is this? The Devil's Herb? I knew something nefarious is afoot. The Abbey must be purified of its scent. I should dispose of any that I find. Did I do that? Oh, here we go. Here's the other thing that I could investigate. Spear blueprints. Found on Reuben's workstation. Plans for restoring a relic that was recently brought to St. Walpurga by Father Augustine. So he's got a side project. Yeah, what the hell is the Devil's Herb? Okay, I gotta investigate the door button. Only operable from outside the chamber. Usage records show that it was opened twice this morning. Okay. The body is completely unharmed, but her head has exploded into a mess of blood and bone fragments. Yikes. And then the other thing was the coronet remains found near Mother Miriam's body. Parts of the amplifier component and bits of the casing have survived the explosion. Obviously not the limiter, because we found that elsewhere. Jesus, Jason. No. Look at it. Look. Okay. Used to activate and control the Consecration Chamber, usage records show that the Aether output during the ceremony was well beyond safe ranges. So let me ask this guy about that, because he said everything was fine, right? Gideon claims that Aether output values are within safe ranges, but the control panel indicates otherwise. Let's present the control panel to him and unmask his lie. I see. Here's contradict. Here we go. Used to activate and control the Consecration Chamber. Yeah. Lies. Unmasked. You lied, Gideon. The ceremony wasn't safe. Control panel's records show the Aether output values were abnormally high. Of course it was. Mother Miriam wanted the coronet as powerful as it could be. But I am Gideon the Grand. With my talents, I had it under control. I mean, you clearly didn't, is the thing. Like, even if you made no errors, you did not have it under control because her head exploded. Something else went wrong. I don't know what. Gideon has amended his testimony. Let's examine, maintain control. This statement from Gideon's testimony is now verified for two reasons. So I'm looking at this. It's not corroborated, but it is specific, and it has physical verification, I guess. Specificity has a shorter time frame. It describes a clearer set of events. Physicality, Gideon's testimony is now consistent with the records from the control panel. I can assume that any verified statement like this is true. Except it says it's still unverified. What's more, the contradiction weakens the suspect's resolve. His eye of providence glows. Oh, in the middle of his head? Okay. Which allows me to enter his sanctum, the digital representation of his mind. Let's use his third eye to enter the sanctum and see what truly motivates the suspect. That transition animation is fucking rad. I like it. Evidence discovered. Narcissist. Thank you, technology, for telling me that he's a narcissist. I had no idea. We only cracked the outer layer of his sanctum this time. Still, let's examine the psychological evidence that we found. Psychological evidence. Interesting. This information will help me discern which statements to trust. He's a narcissist. Found in Gideon's sanctum. Craves attention and sincerely believes that he is the best cybernetician in the world. Let's quickly examine each statement in his testimony again. Okay. Some of the statements are now supported by the subject's psychology. So we've got corroboration, specificity, psychology, and physicality. The fact that he is testifying that the output was dangerously high, but I'm so good at my job, is supported by the fact that we know he's a narcissist. That's rad. Cool. Okay. Next, I must find correlations between the suspect's behavior and existing daemons. Let's open the daemonology. Lucifer the Proud, Prince of Daemons and the eternal adversary of Ein Sof, manifests in the ambitious and strong-willed, promising them their heart's desire in exchange for their soul. That sounds right. Beelzebub the Gluttonous turns the host into feral beasts. No. Sathanas the Vengeful, furious daemon that stokes the simmering rage within the host, preys upon the fervent and the righteous, goading them to take matters into their own hands. Probably not. Lotan the Envious, playful but deceitful daemon who slowly drives the host mad with whispers of their own inadequacy. No. So yes, Lucifer the Proud is our best bet. Okay. If the subject is possessed, there should be a psychological evidence that has a clear correlation with a daemon. Jason, I think that the idea is there is support for this statement. It's not necessarily true, although I think in a minute it's going to become verified and then we can assume that it's true. But in general, just because he's a narcissist doesn't necessarily mean this is true, but it supports it. And if a particular theory of the case has a lot of support, then it's sort of a stronger bit for our inductive reasoning. To obtain further psychological evidence, I must find more contradictions and present them to the suspect. Okay, cool, rad. Now that I've heard the testimony and gathered evidence, I can accuse the suspect. No, I don't want to do that. I'm not ready to do that. To accuse the suspect, I must establish the opportunity, means, and motive of the crime. Okay, let's present a section of the suspect's testimony. When could I possibly have harmed Mother Miriam? Well, I don't think this is right. I have not done enough investigation, but the tutorial is pushing me to present a theory. So I'm going to say you could have done it during this maintain control section, right? You could have pumped the power up too high and killed her. If it's a valid answer, the suspect will be forced to admit they could have committed the murder at this time. Otherwise, the suspect will give a counter-argument as to why that's impossible. You performed the ceremony yourself. This gave you ample opportunity to hurt her. Yes, I performed the ceremony, but I did nothing that could have harmed her. Next, try to establish means. For this, I need to present physical evidence. Okay, so I'm going into my physical evidence, and I am going to grab the coronet limiter. Same as before, the suspect will accept my evidence if it is valid, and deny it if they can explain why I'm wrong. While you were adjusting the coronet, you removed the limiter. That's nonsense. Do you really think I would forget to replace the crown jewel of my masterpiece? No, I think you did it intentionally. While you were adjusting the coronet... Okay, by what means are you claiming that I killed her? Okay, did I do that? Does that mean... What's happening? Does that mean that this was rejected as means? I'm confused by that. I'm confused by the sort of symbolism here. Okay, I need to present a psychological evidence from their own sanctum. Well, all I have is that you're a narcissist, so... if he is the culprit, then presented with the correct motive, the daemon within him will compel him to speak the truth. If not, he will deny my claim. You are a self-absorbed man. Everything you do feeds into your pride. To you, Mother Miriam was a mere prop for your masterpiece. You carelessly caused her death in pursuit of artistic glory. How dare you? I took the utmost care in everything I did for Mother Miriam. The coronet was designed to be worn by her. Without her, it will forever remain imperfect. I would never risk anything that could harm my work or Mother Miriam. Okay, that makes sense, that is not right. And that was a good argument against it. The means thing, I feel a little bit weird about, because I think that is a valid theory. I don't think that it's correct, or at least I don't think it's backed up by evidence. But his argument of no, I couldn't have possibly removed the limiter because I didn't want to. I don't think that that's a good, like, that's a convincing argument against it. So this is an interesting system, and I think it has like some really good strengths and some really interesting weaknesses. Let's keep going with it. Let's cancel for now and leave the suspect. Yes, cancel. Stop accusing. Okay. Great. Leave. Okay, so now this is verified because it is corroborated and specific. Why does it have a little exclamation mark next to it? And then this is unverified because it's not corroborated. Okay. I want to ask you about, let's see. I want to ask you about the door controls. For safety reasons, this button is the only way to open the consecration chamber door. Okay, and that's it? That's all you have to say? Alright, well... how about this contradiction? I'm going to ask about this thing. Curious, Reuben claims he went back to his workstation. What does Gideon say? Let's switch to his testimony.
To prepare for this...
Where are we? Gideon claims that Reuben opened the door to the consecration chamber. Let's go back to Reuben. Where are we on the timeline? We're somewhere around here, I think.
Gideon convinced her to move forward with the ceremony anyway. Since he was going to handle everything, I went back to my tasks.
Okay. I think I'm confused because we just went through some tutorial logic that involved sort of like specific places on the timeline, but it wasn't super clear where we were talking about. But I think I get what's going on here, where there's a part in Gideon's version where he orders Reuben to take Mother Miriam to the consecration chamber, whereas Reuben leaves that out. Doesn't have that at all. He just goes back to his workstation. Reuben Garamond, you did not return to your workstation after the discussion. Gideon ordered you to open the consecration chamber for Mother Miriam. It is a little weird. It's a little weird that, like, I can see that contradiction, absolutely, but is there something that tells me, either as a player or as an investigator, that Reuben is the one who's lying about it, and Gideon's version is true? Because that seems to be what the game is pushing me towards. Is it just the specificity, maybe, that, like, this is part of a whole big block where Reuben said nothing happened, and Gideon sort of has a specific memory? Is that what he told you? Despite his delusions, Gideon is certainly not my master. I did open the chamber, it's true. I apologize for the omission. It's a regular part of our routine that it slipped my mind earlier. Okay, Reuben has amended his testimony. Let's examine open chamber. It's now verified for 2 reasons. Corroboration. Gideon's testimony confirms that Reuben opened the door for Mother Miriam. Yeah, okay. It has a shorter time frame and describes a clearer set of events. So it seems like that's a really important thing. This specificity, which isn't... I don't know that that's intuitive for me. Like, on some level it is, that a more specific story is more likely to be true than a vague or general story. But if we're talking about people who are deliberately lying, I don't know that that's true. I feel like in some cases the lie could be more specific than the truth. I can assume that any verified statements like this are true, which is the game telling me, like, any of that logic aside, these are building blocks that you can use to sort of construct the case, which makes sense. Okay, he's got a glowing eye thing, so we're gonna look at him. He is a believer. And who's my... gluttonous, vengeful, maybe envious. Oh, could be. Host blames others for their ill fortune until the apparent injustice drives them to take what is rightfully theirs. That seems plausible. Okay. And this, now I have this believer thing. He knows that cybernetics are a critical part of the one truth. Okay. Oh, I didn't mean to ask about that. Cybernetics empower us in the eyes of the one true God, Ein Sof. I am honored to be of service. Okay. Why is there a little exclamation point here?
They decided to perform the ceremony anyway, since Gideon was going to handle everything.
Okay,
I went back to my tasks.
I think it's just because I literally haven't heard the voiceover for that. So let's clear these out. Oh no. Oh no, I'm not ready. Excellent, I have gone through the fundamental steps of investigating a murder. However, there is much I have yet to uncover about this incident. I should continue to find more information, contradict the suspects with them, and try to accuse the suspect. No one will tell me when I am ready to accuse. That is entirely up to my discretion. However, there are no consequences for a failed accusation. Each failure will help bring me closer to the truth of the incident. Okay, I want to talk to Gideon about these 2 things.
Then I rose up, opened my eyes, and approached the control panel. I was ready to begin.
Okay. And that is corroborated and specific. Okay.
The aether output was dangerously high, but I had the chamber under control.
Okay. can I ask him about the door controls? These door access records show that the chamber was sealed during the ceremony. There you have it, proof that the ceremony was performed flawlessly. Perhaps what's curious is that the door was opened twice. The first time was when Reuben opened the chamber to let Mother Miriam in. Second time was just before the ceremony started, when you closed your eyes and prayed for guidance. With the one true God as my witness, I swear that is the truth. I kneeled and listened for his voice. It must have been Reuben who opened it for some reason. He was always skittish about the slight possibility of malfunction. Okay, but weirdly, when I talk to Reuben about that, I don't have the opportunity to, like, press him about it. I'm going to try that again. Ask about the button. For safety reasons, the button is the only way to open the consecration chamber door. Alright. I'm going to ask him about this statement from Gideon, which talks about the chamber opening.
Since Gideon was going to handle everything.
I saw Gideon pray before the ceremony began. He did that right, at least. But that's not the part of the statement that I wanted to ask about, though. Okay, did I ask him about the limiter? Let me ask him. You found it on Gideon's desk. It's no wonder that the coronet exploded. The imbecile must have forgotten to replace it after adjusting the coronet's amplification. Despicable. Okay, but... No, I guess I don't have anything in here about... Can I contradict? Oh! Thank you, Croaker. So... I don't need to select a thing that I am contradicting against, right? Like, I don't have to select something from his timeline, but I can select the door controls and present that as something that I'm contradicting with. Lies unmasked. You test my patience, Reuben. Has your memory slipped once more? The door records show that the consecration chamber was opened twice today. Given that Gideon was praying during this time, only you could have opened the chamber. It's true that I opened the chamber again and didn't tell you about it just before the ceremony started. I had my reasons. Something about the chamber seemed unseemly. Given what happened to Mother Miriam, I feel vindicated in my fears. Tell me what you did in the chamber.
Since Gideon was going to handle everything,
Blah, blah, blah,
I went
blah.
back to my tasks. So I opened the consecration chamber to verify that the coronet was in working order. Everything seemed fine, so I returned to my desk again.
But it had a whole component missing.
When Gideon activated the
Okay,
consecration,
hold on. I
everything seemed
wanna
fine.
press that. What were you working on? I was restoring a ceremonial spirit for tonight's mass. Oh no, that's the wrong thing. It's Magnificent Relic. I think Abbot Gregory will be pleased with the result. I
So
meant
I
to
opened the
check on
consecration.
this. What were you checking? To perform the consecration ceremony safely, precision is critical. I wanted to make sure the coronet was placed correctly on Mother Miriam. Okay. I mean, that does seem sort of reasonable. Oh, his forehead lit up. Evidence discovered. Envy. And I discovered that evidence through magic, right? Like, that's not because he exhibited in his dialogue that envy is a core part of his psychology. That's just, like, magically I know that he has envy. I think. Found in Reuben's sanctum. Why does Gideon get all the credit for all of Reuben's hard work? If only Gideon could be exposed for being the fraud that he is. Sure, I'll ask him about it. Why not? Me, envious of Gideon? Ha, unlikely. His artistry would be nothing without my designs. He doesn't know the first thing about how our implants actually work. All of his work is trite, superficial. Why anyone gives him attention is beyond me. I mean, it does sound like you're pretty envious right there. Okay, I'm suspicious of Reuben. I'm gonna go to... You know what? Let's work through an accusation. Let's see how it goes. Opportunity. When could you have done any of this? When you were checking the chamber. During the prayer, you claim to have opened the chamber to check the materials. This is when you sabotaged the ceremony. Okay, that seems good. Like it liked that. Means. Gideon was the one that operated the device. How could I have affected the chamber or Mother Miriam? Well, here, I have physical evidence of the cornet limiter. There's nothing faulty with the cornet itself. Indeed, the craftsmanship was flawless, as was Gideon's performance of the ceremony, but you removed the limiter from the cornet without Gideon's knowledge, which, coupled with the cornet's high amplification, caused an oversurge. Gideon's arrogance may have endangered Mother Miriam, but you ensured that she would die from it. It also likes that. Good so far. And then motive, well, we know that he is... I'm going to select envy. Because you can't see it, the symbol for envy is an apple. Is that right? The symbol for envy is an apple. The symbol for narcissist is a mirror. The symbol for believer is sort of like an eye of God. Those both track for me. Symbol of envy is an apple. I guess like a golden apple, like a Greek apple. Found in Reuben's sanctum. Why does Gideon... Yeah. Mother Miriam's death was merely a means to an end. Humiliation of Gideon. You envy your brother's success. You want his fame, his glory. A green apple. Like green with envy? Like, that's a leap, right? There's not actually a connection between envy and green apples. It's a good... I like that. It's clever. But it doesn't actually make sense, right? I'm still trying to figure out how this actually makes sense. Okay, so we have good means, opportunity, and motive. I am going to complete this accusation.
Unsoft sees all, Reuben. You killed Mother Miriam to frame Gideon and take him down a peg. With Gideon gone, a daemon whispered that people would finally recognize you for your genius.
I am older than Gideon. My work is better than Gideon, and more important. But no one sees my work. No one understands my work.
Confess, Reuben. Tell us what the daemon made you do.
Oh, now he's got like a red forehead thing. Ooh. Yikers.
Demonic corruption runs deep within Reuben's soul. Yet Reuben may still be saved.
That music change.
I must speak the daemon's true name. Then the daemon will be cast out. Ein Sof, guide me. What daemon has possessed Reuben?
Lotan the Envious.
Out, Lotan! Leave this soul and return whence you came.
Whoa. Okay.
Magnificently done, Madam Exorcist.
So, what are daemons?
The power of Ain Soph compels you, Lotan. Leave this soul and return to the ether.
Thousands of years, and you humans never change. Never satisfied, always comparing, wanting more. Someone else is always richer, prettier, wiser, better. Nothing can ever fill that void within you. Not even me.
Silence, Lotan. Reuben may yet be redeemed. You are a scourge. Without your influence, a good woman would still be alive. Leave humans be, Lotan. I banish you to the ether!
As you wish, but I'll return soon enough. My prince and master Lucifer walks among you. Lucifer will open the gates of hell, and at last, humanity will remember its full potential. Until then, Madam Exorcist, adieu.
Yeah, Jason, that's a great question. It's not clear to me.
Come forth, Reuben. What remains of you?
I have world building questions after this case.
Thank.
He's silent and still. Poor soul. Rest, Reuben. Heal, if you can.
Sister Ada, you've returned. Was there a demon at work after all?
I'm afraid so. The exorcism was a success. Reuben's soul has been purged. Unfortunately, the daemon was difficult to cleanse. Reuben is returned to pure innocence.
What?
What?
The exorcism shattered his mind? Can you bring him back?
It's out of my hands. If Ain Soph wills it, maybe Reuben will heal.
Guards, please escort this shell to the cryostasis cellar.
What? What?
I pray for his swift recovery.
In cryostasis?
Abbot Gregory.
Praise be to Ain Soph, Sister Ada. You have saved us
I have
all.
so many questions.
On behalf of everyone at St. Walpurgis, I express our utmost gratitude.
We are not yet safe. We must act quickly until we locate the source of the demonic influence. We don't understand yet why demons would act after 100 years.
After 100 years... Oh, right. At the beginning, there was a whole, 100 years without a murder, 100 years of peace and prosperity,
Holy
or
Father,
whatever.
we must quarantine the abbey and the surrounding town immediately.
I also had not, really considered that. So this is a world in which there has not been murder, at least, in 100 years. It would have become essentially unthinkable, right?
Detain and interrogate anyone who seems suspicious.
We can try, Sister Ada, but it will be difficult, as we have visitors arriving hourly. Much like yourself, pilgrims from afar are here to celebrate Walpurgisnacht. It's such a shame Mother Miriam couldn't bear witness to it.
Because her head exploded. I mean...
Ah, yes. The priestess. We must destroy her body immediately. Traces of demonic influence may remain from her contact with Reuben.
Is that how it works?
No, Sister Ada, thank you for your concern, but we absolutely cannot. Mother Miriam was a prominent figure and well-loved, with decades of service. We must treat her body with dignity and give her a proper burial.
Okay.
Send Mother Miriam's body to the mortuary for embalming.
Your Excellency, we really ought to take the advice of the exorcist.
Mother Miriam's body has been desecrated enough, Virgil. Send her to the mortuary, now.
As you command, Your Excellency.
Holy Father, you are making a grave mistake.
Sister Ada, don't worry yourself. All will be well.
I mean, that's a creepy as fuck sort of a response.
Saint Walpurga's triumph over Lucifer has brought us a century of peace and bliss.
In one massive head explosion.
It's horrifying that a demon was exorcised from our abbey, but surely it was the final remnant.
After 100 years?
The daemon within Reuben spoke of Lucifer's return. Lucifer's ways are insidious. Even the most devout among us have temptations.
It's a shame Brother Reuben fell to the demon, but the rest of my flock is stronger. Faith shall be their shield. Now, please excuse me. This evening's mass requires my attention. We are honored by your presence, Sister Ada. Praise be to Ein Sof.
Even the Holy Father can be foolish then. Ein Sof. Let it not be true that Lucifer walks. But if it is, Ein Sof, guide me, that I may unmask all lies, no matter how painful.
The demon's final words haunted me. Lucifer was already among us. I wanted to destroy Mother Miriam's body to purge any traces of demonic influence. Abbot Gregory did not heed my words. Mother Miriam was to be given a proper burial. That afternoon, Inquisitor Virgil sent for me, asking urgently to meet him at the graveyard. I'm curious about a lot, but probably the main thing is the nature of these demons, which it certainly implies I had an actual conversation with, right? I mean, like, there's no other way to interpret that. If I am talking so specifically about how the demon mentioned Lucifer and that Lucifer is among us. Lucifer among us. Lucifer within us. Like, I had a conversation with this being, so it's some kind of a communicative entity, digital entity, right? So it's some sort of a digital construct, like an AI, or is it I guess it's how do demons work in the real world? In the same way that a demon could express itself through a ceremony, like a ritual or a summoning or like a Ouija board, a demon, like a metaphysical presence, is expressing itself through a digital, intelligence, like malware, and it can be spread by touch. It is spread by proximity. I guess that sort of makes sense. And maybe it is actually a demon, or maybe it is an AI that is that's acting like a demon. Like, there's that sort of ambiguity. But it could actually be proximity based, like malware. It spreads to nearby computers on a network or something like that. If you touch, it could have infected her body. Okay, all right. Sweet. I'm gonna go with that. That's interesting. I wish that it had kind of spelled some of that out a little bit more.
Thank you for coming
Like,
to our
what
aid so quickly, Sister Ada.
what is this underlying belief system all about? I really appreciate the generalities of it, the it's a cyber spiritualism. But I'm like super curious about like what are the particularities of that? Like what does that actually mean? And I don't know if the game is going to sort of like gradually build up to that, but like I really want it. I want lore. I want like I want to be able to pick up a book and read a chapter about like what are the core tenets of the beliefs of whatever church this is.
You said it was urgent. Has something happened to Mother Miriam's body?
No, in some ways, that would have been easier. There is now a second untimely death.
Another murder. On the very same day. This can't be a coincidence.
That isn't for me to say, but this time, the victim is a younger acolyte named Isaac. His remains were found in the grave that was dug for Mother Miriam.
Whoa.
Poor kid's throat was slit.
Okay.
Who was at the graveyard when the body was found?
Only 3 people were present this afternoon. A scholar, an embalmer, and a grave tender. Father Augustine is a scholar, visiting for Mother Miriam's funeral. The victim was his apprentice.
Okay. I mean, this is fine. Whatever. But we've established that it is the same day that Mother Miriam died. I guess Father Augustine could be visiting from somewhere very close by.
Sister Nerissa, an embalmer with a sterling reputation, preparing Mother Miriam's body for burial. Finally, Abraham, the grave tender, a layman who has kept the grounds of the abbey for many years. None of them say they were near the grave until after the body was discovered.
Which means someone is lying.
Someone is lying.
Ain Suf sees all. We will unmask their lies and bring the truth forward. I swear it.
Cool. Okay. I can actually talk with Virgil? No, I haven't done anything. The sharp incision in his throat was clearly the cause of death, but why does he have that scar? What are you talking about? I'm ignoring all of these people. Oh, look, that's what I should have done. Because there's his body. Isaac, victim. Teenage youth aspiring to be a scholar. Raised in the church, he joined Augustine as his apprentice 8 months ago. The apprentice's youthful face is serene above his cleanly slit throat, with no bruising. However, an angry scar runs across his stomach. Interesting. Interesting. What is this? A surgical multi-tool. Found on the staircase between the mortuary and the grave, an ether-powered tool. So it's like an internet-connected tool? Is that what that means? An ether-powered tool for making incisions, applying preservatives, and closing wounds. Is it powered by ether? Interesting. I don't know what that means. I like that this gives me a little bit more of a world that I can explore. Oh, I didn't even realize that's what I was clicking on. A sickle. Okay. Its lightweight blade slices through the air to trim grass and chop weeds. Its sharp edge could easily injure someone. Like a possible murder weapon? Is that what we're thinking? And headstone. This is a noble's grave. The immaculately maintained grave shows the genealogy of an illustrious family. There isn't a blade of grass out of place around the stone. Okay, who is who? Augustine the Scholar. I thought these were people, but those are just people guarding... those are just like guards. Oh, I see. There's another person. And... what's this? Ether scanner. A portable ether-powered device for recording images and text. Can I, like, look at it? Does it have anything on it? Or is it maybe it's cloud-based, so there's no... What is this? Question mark, question mark, question mark. The Devil's Herb! I knew something nefarious is afoot. Interesting. Interesting. Oh, what is this? What is this muddy footprint that I discovered? Found on the floors of the mortuary, still wet, leads from the back exit of the mortuary to the embalming table. This back exit to the embalming table. Is that inside? Oh, yes, I can go inside. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, and that's where my third person is. I know, the Devil's Herb, right? Yes, yes. Shovel, shovel, shovel. Found hanging in the back area of the mortuary, heavy, bulky, caked with dirt. Nerissa's workstation. The record shows 2 notable entries for today, both explicitly authorized by Abbot Gregory. Funeral for Mother Miriam at sundown. Visit by Father Augustine. Unrestricted access granted. Whoa. Somebody's important. What is this? Bouquet. A bundle of fresh blossoms like that found on a grave. Why were they on the floor? Excellent question. Bloody liver. I mean... Oh, okay. Found on a table with other entrails, still partially warm and moist. It appears mangled in some way, perhaps smashed. Extremely gross. Embalmed body. Identified as Mother Miriam. There's a large incision down her stomach. Judging from the uneven coloring and chemical scent, she appears partially embalmed. And I also have... No, that's the body. Miriam is a character. Newly appointed voice of Ain Soph. Skeleton to receive an Aether Coronet implant. Murdered in the morning. Okay. Is that all this stuff? I'm gonna go back out here and talk to this guy first. Not him, him.
You must be Father Augustine. The victim was your apprentice, correct?
Correct. And you are Sister Ada, the exorcist. It is a unique pleasure.
Thank you, but I only serve Ain Soph according to my calling. Oh, right. It's nothing special that I'm an exorcist. That's just my calling. Why are you here? I'm visiting in preparation for Mother Miriam's sudden funeral. It is a true blessing to witness your holy work, Sister Ada. I pray Isaac can rest in peace. Well, he definitely did it. How long did Isaac study under you? Did you know him well? He was a fine apprentice, a ready mind and a willing soul. I will mourn him in my own way. But I must admit the prospect of witnessing an exorcism is an unexpected silver lining. What the fuck, dude? If I find you guilty, Father Augustine, you'll find the experience to be unpleasant. Tell me now what happened this afternoon and leave nothing out. I began by taking an afternoon stroll. Let's see it. By which I mean play.
I arrived at the graveyard with Isaac for Mother Miriam's funeral. Isaac headed to the mortuary on a minor errand.
Okay, bye, Isaac. Did you hear? That was a tiny little hello. I don't know if the stream caught it. That was hilarious.
I passed through the graveyard until I saw the statue of Saint Walpurga. What craftsmanship, and so well maintained.
That is a rad statue, I will say. I dig all of the, like, angular geometry in the character design of this game.
For most of the afternoon, I was walking through the graveyard, merely observing and admiring.
Okay. Whoop. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. It's weird how much of that time you're spending looking out of the graveyard.
At sunset, I wandered to the back area to meet with Isaac. I was surprised to find an open grave with something inside. Isaac. I was horrified to discover that it was Isaac's dead body. That's when I called for help.
Okay. I want to ask him about that tablet. Because he, like, spent some time staring at it on the grave. Oh, that's his! That's my ether scanner. I use it to record images and parse them into glyphs. Okay. Okay. Well, then, I guess that's it. Thank you very much, dude. Let's go find somebody who can contradict your story.
Praise
Nerissa.
Ain Soph. You must be the famed exorcist. It is an honor, sister. I'm Nerissa, and I serve Ain Soph by preparing the dead for burial. I take pleasure in providing cleanliness and comfort for bodies after their souls have departed.
I see. Nerissa, how did you know the victim?
Not at all. The first time I saw him, he was curled in that grave, dirty and bloody. The whole afternoon, I prepared Mother Miriam's body for burial. There isn't much else to tell.
Well, tell it anyway.
Early this afternoon, I informed Abraham of the funeral scheduled for this evening. Grave to tell. Once Abraham left, I started preparing the body for burial. I was alone the entire time. No one came by.
What about... what's this dude? Wait, hold on. Can I'm curious, especially because all of that squicky. Can I contradict with Isaac headed to the mortuary? Lies unmasked. Okay. Once Abraham left, I started preparing the body for wait. Oh, sorry, I was reading the wrong thing. Father Augustine saw you speak to Isaac by the entrance of the mortuary. Isaac entered the mortuary. Admit it. Very well, there's no use hiding it. Please know that nothing untoward happened. The victim only stopped... oh, right, he's a victim. Yeah, okay. The victim only stopped by for a moment. I thought that was like a... I don't know, they were secretly lovers or something.
The truth is that the apprentice did come by. He asked for a bouquet for the funeral later that day.
Okay, minor errand.
When I showed him the bouquet, he held it for a moment and then threw it on the floor. I suppose it wasn't to his master's tastes. I forgot to pick it back up.
Okay.
Then the boy asked to be taken to the rear fields before the funeral, so I led him out the back exit.
What is dismiss?
Mid-afternoon, Abraham barged into the mortuary, bellowing that the grave is now ready. I sent him away to focus. After Abraham's disturbance, I completed the embalming to the best of my humble abilities.
Don't. That's fine. Okay.
Just after dark, I heard a scream from the back field. A dead body was found.
Okay. Okay, that seems to track more or less. I have like a bunch of physical evidence that I could ask about, but I don't really want to. And all of this makes sense. So, done. Let's go talk to person number 3. Lee. Yeah, I could ask specifically about the liver. I don't really want to, but I could.
Release me! I had nothing to do with that boy.
Are you being held?
You must be
I mean,
Abraham,
I guess.
the grave tender.
I guess so. I've worked here for 30 years, worked hard without complaint. Look around you, every bush trimmed, every headstone polished. Because of me. I forgot to check if, what's-her-name, Nerissa had a little third eye thing. I should go check that. I have done all that is asked of me and more. Yet the moment something goes wrong, I'm the one blamed? Nobody's blamed you. Even the most steadfast among us may fall prey to Lucifer's whispers, Abraham. You dug the grave in which the victim was found, didn't you? Actually, I didn't dig anything today. What? Then who did? How would I know? I've been busy working, as always. What?
As the grave tender, any crimes that took place here are your responsibility. If you are truly innocent, hide nothing, and tell me what happened. We'll find the truth together.
I spent the early afternoon tending to the bushes by the mortuary.
Okay. Meanwhile, what's happening over here? None of this seems right. Okay, alright.
When I headed back to the mortuary, Nerissa told me there was nothing else special to do for the... I walked through the mortuary, then headed downhill towards the benches.
All of this seems wrong.
I spent the remainder of the afternoon resting on a bench.
All of this seems wrong.
Suddenly, I heard someone call for help from the back field. I ran over, surprised to see a dead body in the grave.
Okay, let me ask you about this. You were there until someone called for help? That's right. What about this contradiction here? Okay, well, I just mean that, what's his name, Augustine was right there and he didn't mention seeing you, so alright, how about what else was there? Let me go back. Stop. I walked through the mortuary. I sent him away. How about this? I'm gonna contradict with this, because Nerissa said that Abraham came in talking about the grave, and Abraham says he didn't have anything to do with the grave all day. Okay. How about this? Because in Nerissa's version, he walks back out, I think, the back of the mortuary, and in his version, he walks through the mortuary. So if I present that... Alright, shut up, you. I'm gonna go talk to other people about his testimony then. Like... Well, like him. Let's talk to Augustine. And I want to contradict resting on the bench. Okay, never mind.
I arrived at the graveyard with Isaac
No,
from
no.
Miriam.
I don't care. Nerissa. Can I contradict with this thing? But it does. It. Okay.
Early this
Hold on,
afternoon,
hold on,
we
hold on,
informed
hold on, stop.
Abraham of the funeral
No, stop,
scheduled for
stop.
this evening.
Nerissa dismisses Abraham, verified. Abraham dismissed by Nerissa, verified. So the game is telling me that these two things are both true because they're both the same. Even though when I read them, I feel like there's an important distinction that is actually sort of key to what I want to suss out in their testimony. Okay. Oh, yeah, she's got that eye thing. Let's look at that. Let's look at her eye. She's a famine survivor. What does that mean? A memory found in Nerissa's sanctum. So, outside of the initial, like, demo tutorial level, the sanctum psychology thing is much more specific. A memory found in Nerissa's sanctum. She grew up during the Great Famine, feeding on anything she could find. She eventually found sustenance, but at what cost? What? Without faith, I could never have persevered through those days. I am ever grateful to Ansoff and the kind souls of our church. Do I have to ask you about this bloody liver? That is Mother Miriam's embalmed liver. It seems rather deformed. What happened to it? My apologies, Sister Ada. I must have mishandled it. Organs are very delicate, you know. Due to the disturbances today, I haven't been able to focus properly. Like, what? What? Okay, I'm going to ask her about some other stuff. Like, okay, hold on. I'm going to ask her this. Muddy footprints. They go, apparently, from out here, in here, to here, up to here, up to where the liver is, and then back out the back. So, two things that I want to know. First of all, what exactly does Nerissa say Abraham was doing during this time? I know that it's already been verified, but I thought that she sent him straight back out the back. And he says he walked through the whole mortuary. And I have these footprints that go from the back door to the operating table and then back out the back door. So all of that seems like really suspicious to me. So in Nerissa's telling,
Abraham barged into the mortuary, bellowing that the grave is now ready. I sent him away to focus. Pardon. After Abraham's disturbance,
and then he goes back out the back.
To the best of my
right, you see what I'm
abilities.
saying? It's weird to me that these two things are verified because they seem contradictory. Let me ask you then about these muddy footprints. I apologize for the filth. Normally the mortuary is kept pristine, I assure you, but today is hardly a normal day. Okay, not really what I wanted to know. Abraham uses the shovel to dig graves. It's far too heavy for me To even carry? Really? Wow. Alright. Then I'm gonna come back out here. Abraham seems like really reluctant to give me any information. But let me ask you about these muddy footprints. Those can't be my footprints. It's true that I went inside the mortuary after working outside, but that was before the rain. Okay, and the shovel? Found hanging in the back area of the mortuary, heavy, bulky, and caked with dirt. That's my shovel. It's built to last, good workmanship. I usually leave it in the mortuary when I'm not using it. Okay, so here's my abduction, right? Here's my imaginative theory. Nerissa's the one who killed Isaac. When he came in, whatever with the bouquet, I don't know what that's all about, but she and he both went out the back of the church. She killed him, dug the grave, maybe, and left him in it, and then went back into the church, or the mortuary, sorry. This would have been after... How does that work, though? Because... Yes, during this time. So taking Isaac to the exit... I'm going to ask this guy, according to Nerissa's story, Abraham should have run into Isaac, I think, because he came in through that door. So, Isaac? Poor boy in the grave, such a shame. I hadn't seen him while he was alive.
When I headed back to the...
She sent me away. I didn't see anyone coming from the back exit of the mortuary. What if I contradict this? Not sure how that proves me wrong. Okay. Okay. What about Nerissa? What if I take... See, the problem is I don't have any, like... I don't have anything to select to say that Abraham... Well, maybe I do. Let me see if I can figure out how to do that. I want to accuse, or I want to contradict Nerissa based on Abraham's testimony. Oh! I can quickly warp between conversations.
Then the boy...
So when you last saw him, he was headed toward the grave. That's right, he left the mortuary out the back. Contradict that with this? Okay. Contradict with Abraham? No. In my like evidence inventory, I have victim's body, surgical multi-tool. I should ask her about that. The sickle, the noble's grave, the ether scanner, the muddy footprint, the shovel, the graveyard schedule, the bouquet, the bloody liver, and the embalmed body. So, according to Nerissa's story, she never leaves the mortuary until the body is discovered. But her surgical tool was outside. So let me ask her about that. I don't mean to be contradicting. I mean to be asking. Ask. I found your multi-tool, Nerissa. I am truly grateful, Sister Ada. Where did you find this? It was lying in the grass near the rear staircase. Impossible, unless someone had stolen it. Surely Abraham couldn't do such a thing. Well, your story doesn't give in any time when he could have. Yeah, Idle Satire, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat. Yeah. Exactly. Thank you. Questions are okay, but not spoilers. So let me contradict with the multi-tool. I had difficulty finishing the embalming without it, but that's not actually... Shouldn't Abraham and Augustine see each other in the front area? Yes, I'm just not sure. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Abraham.
I spent the early afternoon tending to the bushes by the mortuary.
And I'm going to contradict. Actually, no, that wouldn't. None of that contradicts. Lee, I totally agree. So I feel like there are issues with specific parts of this game that are causing some friction for me. But I love the engine. I love the sort of like not just the thematic premise, but the mechanical premise of the game. I love how it's put together and how it works. What it is as a player that I am doing in the play of this game, I think is awesome. I would love for this to become like a genre that people made games for. I think that would be so cool. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the whole... It reminds me of some work that Jamie Antonise and I did back in grad school. We can talk more about this as a genre later on. I want to keep going with the game, but it is a very, very cool approach to play. Shouldn't Abraham and Augustine see each other in the front area? I don't know. I'm not sure because Augustine is hanging out here and then he goes this way. Meanwhile, Abraham is hanging out here and then he goes in and then he comes back out and then he comes over here. So it's possible that they wouldn't see each other. I don't know that I can contradict their story. The body is only half embalmed, but Nerissa says she finished. Is the objective to prove someone lying? By proving that somebody or exposing somebody's lies, I get more information, more accurate and more detailed information in order to suss out what really happened. The goal is to figure out which of these three people actually committed the murder and the exact circumstances for it. Okay. I'm gonna go up here. I'm going to talk to Nerissa about the state of the body. Can we perform an autopsy on the victim's body, Nerissa? Oh, no, that's, sorry, that's Isaac's body. That's not what I meant to do. Is this really necessary? The victim's cause of death is quite clearly from having his throat slit. There's something peculiar about that abdominal scar. Let's reopen it and see what lies within. As you wish, sister. Please give me a moment. I did not know that we were going to have like a whole scene here. There, it's ready. Good, let's have a closer look. How many livers does he have? What's this? His liver. It's loose. It's not attached to the rest of his organs at all. Okay. He's got a fucking strange liver. It's an embalmed liver. You can tell by the patchy coloring. But I have no idea why it would be in the victim's body when he had only just died. What the fuck, Nerissa? What are you talking about? Okay. I don't know if Nerissa did it. It's starting to seem like maybe somebody else stole all of her tools and stuff and performed some weird surgery on this body. The problem with that is that Nerissa never left the mortuary. So, Nerissa, somebody used your scalpel, your surgery tool. Somebody swapped the livers between these two bodies. You are telling me that you're the only person who could have done it because you were here the whole time. So either tell me that you did it or tell me how somebody else could have done it. But I don't, mechanically, I'm not sure how I pushed that line of investigation, right? Like, that's the question that I want to actually ask her. In terms of a contradiction, what is the contradiction? Let me say, I'm going to contradict you about this strange liver. I don't think that contradicts what I said. How about I contradict you about the bloody liver? What? Okay. This liver is still bloody. How could you possibly claim that it is ready for burial? Huh? What? I couldn't finish the burial preparations in time because I misplaced my surgical tool. I searched all over the mortuary for it, but I couldn't find it anywhere. So, okay, so awesome. This big, long, weird, I just did my job, got split up into looking for the multi-tool and then trying to finish embalming. I do like that better. That is more specific, although apparently it's not specific enough.
After Abraham left, I noticed that my multi-tool wasn't in my pocket. I searched all over the mortuary for it, but it was missing.
Okay.
I did what I could without making new incisions.
It seems like
That
it
made
starts
things
raining
slower
right
and
here.
Messier. I'm not pleased with the results.
Okay, alright, that's fine.
Just after dark, I heard a scream from the back field.
Okay.
A dead body was found. Then the boy asked to be taken to the rear field before.
So when you last saw him, he was headed towards a grave. I already asked about this. Oh, I wanted to ask about the embalmed body. I may have already gotten... This is the body I was preparing. A horrible way to die. At least her inner organs were intact. Right. Okay, so if we take as red, there's no rain here, right? No rain, no rain, no rain.
I did what I could without making new incisions.
So it starts raining around here.
Without making new incisions, but that made things slower and
Stop
messier.
talking. You have
I'm not
an eye
pleased with the
thing.
results.
Okay. So the footprints would have had to happen Well, yeah, sure, of course. Any of this time. For any of them. Let's look at this. What? 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 Nerissa's sanctum enjoys exotic cuts of meat, especially fresh entrails and organs. Perhaps I enjoy meat too much. But everyone has a soft spot for something, don't they? I mean, holy shit. Okay, well... How do I... Okay, I got the victim's body. I don't want to do this, but I guess I could just go into dialogue with Nerissa and try to contradict her with all of the information that I have until something works. That doesn't feel in the spirit of the game, but that's how a lot of point and click adventures work. What is it that I actually want? Did I try contradicting her about the multi-tool? Sorry, I'm going to go to contradict, multi-tool. I'm pretty sure that I did. Thank you for finding it. How did it get outside? I'm going to contradict you about these muddy footprints. Lies unmasked. Explain these muddy footprints, Nerissa. They indicate that someone left and then returned to the mortuary during the rain. Given that Father Augustine remained outside and that Abraham left before the rain, these must be your footprints. Unless one of them is lying. See, that's part of the problem that I have with this, is that as a player, I don't know which one of the three of them is lying about that. The footprints are conspicuous because it's not clear that they leave again. They come in from outside and then they wander around and maybe they just stay here, which would mean that they are Nerissa's, but what the fuck? I admit I did step outside briefly to search for the multi-tool, but since it was raining I couldn't find anything, so the embalming remains sadly unfinished.
I was desperate to find a tool to finish my work. I tried searching outside, but I couldn't find anything in the rain.
She goes outside. She barely looks around.
I did what I could without making new incisions, but that made things slower and messier. I'm not pleased with the result.
Okay, let's look at more weird psychology. Yeah, no fucking kidding. Oh no, I'm sorry, game. I want to ask her about her cannibalism. I'm sorry that wasn't automatic, but I definitely do want to ask her about it. Thank you for giving me that choice. It's a terrible tendency of mine. It's a terrible tendency of mine. I only nibble at the entrails that no one would want. Okay. I don't know what to say. Can I accuse you of that? Like, I don't necessarily need you to have committed this murder anymore. You're a cannibal. Okay, all right.
I spent the remainder of the
Here we
afternoon
go.
resting on a bench.
Blah, 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 blah. No, stop it. I want to ask you about tending bushes. You didn't dig the grave. That's what I said. I was busy with the bushes. Contradict. Talk to Abraham. Lies unmasked. Great. Good. Okay. You might trim the hedges most days, but you didn't today, did you? Instead, Nerissa asked you to dig a grave for the funeral. That's true. It's a normal part of my job. I shouldn't have lied about it. I'm not sure why I did. I worried that if I told the truth, I thought you'd think I killed that boy. But I didn't. When you lie to me, you veil the truth from the eye of Ein Sof. Speak the truth now. There is no room for error in this investigation. Fine, I dug the grave for the funeral, just doing my job, but it was empty when I left it. That's a lot of more stuff.
Nerissa told me there'd be an urgent funeral in the evening. I'm not usually told who it's for. So I picked up the shovel and went down to the rear plot to dig a new grave. The ground was hard. Took me some time to dig that hole.
Okay.
I took a long break while digging. It's within my rights. There wasn't anyone else around, so it was nice and peaceful. Then I got back to it and finished digging the grave. When the grave was ready, I walked back to the mortuary to let Nerissa know. When I headed back to the mortuary, Nerissa told me there was nothing else special to do for the day.
Let's look at why you're weird. When I talked to Nerissa, evidence discovered. She's a cannibal. When I talked to this guy, he has integrity. He values honesty and sincerity. He genuinely loathes lying to try to escape accusation. I regret lying. I'm an honest person. But I felt like I had to defend myself somehow from being accused. Okay, well, I mean, sure. How about this? I'm going to ask Augustine about the banquet.
Through the graveyard,
Stop talking. Stop talking.
And admiring.
Was it with Isaac? I had asked him to fetch me a bouquet. Strange. Okay, so that is the errand that he sent Isaac on. Not sure what that means. It doesn't seem like it means anything. All of this stroll period seems pretty weird. What about, can I contradict with this ether scanner? Like, what the hell is it doing on a grave? Lies unmasked. During your so-called stroll, did you drop this by any chance? I found it placed in front of a gravestone. What were you doing with it? This has nothing to do with Isaac's death. I shall be the judge of that. Tell me what you were doing. I was using the scanner to recover a lost hymn for Abbot Gregory to use in tonight's mass. The last record of it is etched upon one of these gravestones. What? Okay. Wait, how does that... Whoa, okay, hold on. That added a bunch of new stuff, and only this one, which was already there. This is the only one that was already there, has a little exclamation point. So, searching... All of this is new. Admired the statue for a little while, and then searched for the grave.
A little while, but I found it. The grave of Sergius. I placed my scanner in front of the gravestone. It would take some time to decode the etchings. Then I saw a stranger pass by. He was tall, barrel-chested. I think he was the groundskeeper. Afterwards, I waited by the grave for my scanner to complete its task. It was taking longer than I expected, so I had to leave it.
You had to leave it.
When the sun was setting, I wandered to the back area to meet with Isaac and begin the funeral. At sunset, I wandered to the back area to meet with Isaac.
Did somebody just run by? Is that a part of your story? Can we go back to the part?
I wandered to the back.
Who's that? Wait, who was that?
To meet with Isaac. I was surprised to find an open grave with something inside.
Okay. I want to see how far we can get with Nerissa.
Making new incisions.
Accuse.
That made things slower and messier.
What is this? What the fuck is happening here? Means. How could I have done it? Do you see a weapon anywhere? With your multi-tool. It's designed for precise incisions into hardened tissue. It would have sliced through a living body with ease. Besides, nothing else could have allowed the killer to seal the wound on the victim's stomach. Opportunity. When could I have done such a thing? I mean, during one of these 3 times... Hold on. After Abraham left, I noticed that my multi-tool wasn't in my pocket. I searched all over the mortuary for it, but it was missing. Physicality's surgical multi-tool was found outside. I was desperate to find the tool to finish my work. I tried searching outside, but I couldn't find anything in the rain. There was a muddy footprint. I did what I could, so I'm going to say during this time. Sister Ada, I couldn't have killed the victim shortly after Abraham left. The victim would have had to wait inside the mortuary when Abraham was here. What? Okay. Surely Abraham would have heard footsteps or rustling. Preparing the body occupied me the entire afternoon. When could I have done such a thing? So... I don't...
Then the boy asked...
Yeah, I don't... I don't know how to contradict this. Okay, how about this? Now I have new stuff down here. I'm going to present that. No, Why is that the one? Okay. I don't know why Abraham would lie, but the victim left through the door. I swear I saw it myself. Despite conflict with other testimonies or evidence, the suspect insists that the following is true. Then the boy asked to be taken to the rear fields before the funeral, so I led him out the back exit.
Then the boy asked to be taken to the rear fields before the funeral, so I led him out the back exit.
It's just weird to me that the piece I needed to contradict with was taking a break. That seems arbitrary. Okay, so I think she's lying about this. Can I ask her about it? Yeah, no. Let's go back to the accusation. I already that's nice that it remembers my means. Opportunity. Here. Present. You killed Isaac when he was visiting the mortuary to fetch the bouquet. I admit he came by, but he left shortly afterwards. If he died in the mortuary, why was his body found found in the grave? Because his body was moved. This is when that happened. After you dismissed Abraham, you weren't searching for the multi-tool. You dragged the victim's body to the grave, hoping to bury it before anyone arrived. I mean, that's not a great plan, because pretty quickly somebody's gonna say, hey, the grave where we were gonna bury somebody in a big ceremony tonight, why is it already filled in? Oh, look, there's another body in it. Okay, sweet. Motive. Why did you want to kill him? I think I'm supposed to present psychology, and I'm gonna go with cannibal? I don't really know why. Your austere childhood has led you to develop a deep craving for exotic meats, especially a certain rare flesh that had sustained you in a time of need. Working as an embalmer must have tempted you day in and day out. You were so virtuous for so long. You would handle the organs as part of preparing the bodies. You could easily imagine the You could easily imagine the taste, the texture, yet you resisted. Then Isaac arrived, and the demon spoke. You could no longer ignore your hunger. A fresh, juicy liver at your fingertips. It would be so much tastier than the cold entrails you handled from corpses. Wow. All you had to do was slit open his stomach like you've done 100 times before. Alright, well, we're gonna accuse her.
Ainsoph sees all, Nerissa.
What the fuck? What? What? I mean, Okay, so there is a fair bit of the writing of this that goes too far for me, that I am not comfortable with. I actually think I really like that she appears with blood all over her face once we sort of correctly accuse her. I wish that was a payoff for something that was established earlier. Like, there is something very cool to me being implied about being an exorcist and about the power of Ainsoph. And when Ada correctly, like, pieces together a crime, not just crime, but a possession, right? Like, the work of a demon on Earth. That gives her an ability to see the truth in sort of a more profound way than what is literal. And Nerissa does not literally have blood all over her face, because if she did, it would probably have been easier to piece together what had happened. But we see her like this now because there's something fundamental about this truth, right? This is who Nerissa is. She is stained with this blood. And the sort of, like, Ainsoph has granted that to us in our, in the culmination of this duty that we have executed. That's really cool. This is a very potent sort of instance of that idea that I think would make a really good payoff in the third or fourth beat. If we had seen this happen to sort of a lesser degree a couple of times, and it built up to, oh my god, I can literally see the blood that is staining your mouth, that'd be really rad. Having that be sort of the first time that idea is introduced, it feels a little bit compressed. It like, just the timing isn't right? Like a bad joke, that you can see the pieces of something that would have been a good joke, but the timing is off.
You are the only person who could have killed Isaac. Do you deny it?
Curse you, and curse Ainsof. How can the eye see all? Does it see my suffering? Where was Ainsof when my family was dying in the street, chewing on leather just to live another day?
The famine was a test, Nerissa. Ainsof wanted you to demonstrate your faith, your will to live.
Have you ever felt true hunger? When you haven't eaten for days, reality shifts. The body needs.
We all have our challenges set out before us, Nerissa. Some more difficult than others.
Do you think I was the only one that fed on human flesh?
It's not for me to judge what you did back then. That's between you and your confessor. But today, you murdered an innocent youth so that you could feed on his liver. A daemon has possessed you.
There is, and folks in chat were talking about this in the last case, there is a weird thing of Nerissa couldn't have done this on her own. She did this because a demon possessed her. And demons are not abstract. I guess that's what it is that in sort of in IRL religion, in the sort of like Christianity that I'm familiar with, that this is clearly drawing upon from sort of a thematic and theological standpoint, you can talk about demons as abstract constructs, right, for the impulses that people have. And there's a sense to that. But I don't think you can do that in the same breath as talking about them as sort of entities with agency and consciousness that can communicate and converse, that are separate from, or can be separated, right? Can be exorcised from people who do bad things. Because then, I mean, maybe you can actually. Maybe this is a problem that I have with this type of theology and not a problem inherent in the theology. Maybe it is entirely plausible for somebody to believe that a human being is a pure soul and cannot do evil unless it has been corrupted by something that is evil, that is inherently separate, because human beings are pure souls, right? So I guess that's the theology that's on display here, and I have sort of problems with that line of thinking, but that's not necessarily a problem with the writing of the game, except in a perfect world, the character would be written in such a way that convinced me, at least within the moment, right, that really made me suspend my disbelief that this made sense to her. And I don't know that it is quite that convincing. Like, that's a pretty high bar, and I don't know if it quite meets it. Yeah, that's interesting.
Confess, Nerissa.
All right, so
Speak the
it's
truth.
definitely the
It is time.
gluttonous one, right? Oh, she's got a whole thing.
Early
Okay.
this afternoon, I informed Abraham of the funeral scheduled for this evening. The truth is, that boy did come by. He asked for a bouquet for the funeral later that day. When I brought him to the bouquet table, I don't know what came over me. The hunger clenched my belly suddenly. I've seen the butchers do it. It only took a quick slash to his throat, and he fell to the floor. I knew where to get the best cut. His liver. It was still warm. I couldn't believe
Oh
the
my
taste.
God.
Like nothing I'd eaten before. Heavenly.
Wow, okay.
Then, Abraham barged into the mortuary, bellowing that the grave is now ready. I sent him away to focus. My senses were returning, and I cleaned up my mess. I sealed the boy's body, putting the liver from the body I had been embalming inside and sealing it.
I guess I don't need to be watching all of this, huh? Great. Okay. I'm gonna stop. Sorry. I kind of regret that I did that. We're just gonna go. We're gonna skip straight to this.
Influence. I must speak the daemon's true name. Then the daemon will be cast out and be banished to the ether. Ain Soph, guide me. What daemon has possessed Nerissa?
It's this one.
Out,
Clearly.
Beelzebub! Leave this soul and return whence you came.
And Beelzebub is less sort of obviously a digital construct, right? Like this. Oh man. I don't think I get the character design of the demons. Like this is very like BioShock steampunk, like Big Daddy sort of design with tubes, or was there a version of Bane in the Batman movies before Christopher Nolan that had like tubes everywhere? I feel like okay, anyway, sorry. I'm put off. I'm like definitely upset by sort of some of the narrative and how this game presented some of the cannibalism stuff here. I don't know if there's a... I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect between my expectations for this game and the level of gore that it goes to, and it does it. This is what it is. It does that very casually, which isn't like that can work. You can present horrific imagery in a casual manner, but I think that you need to set up your narrative in a way that sort of provides for that. And I don't think that this did. The way that this story started and was being told, clearly this is not the first time that it's become graphic. It got graphic very early on when what's-her-name's head exploded. But even that was like shocking. It felt out of place for the aesthetic of the rest of the game. And this continues to do so, right? Like somehow I am disconnected from the frame of mind where this is what I would be expecting or enjoying from this type of narrative. It still feels disconcerting to me. It still feels sort of like out of place to have it be this graphic. All right, let's finish this off.
Nerissa, delicious, scrumptious little morsel. We must have more.
Yeah, Batman and Robin. Yes.
An endless pit. More.
Speak, Beelzebub. Why has your kind returned?
Hunger is a primal need. Just as you feed on lesser life forms, growing them in captivity for slaughter, we feed on you, the meat of your emotions, the marrow of your deepest desires.
You will prey upon us no longer, Beelzebub. Return to the ether and never come back.
I must obey for now, but we won't be gone too long. Tonight, Lucifer will open the gates of hell. I won't be the only one allowed to feast. Ada, you juicy little morsel, we shall devour you soon. You and all the other delicacies.
I actually wonder if a big part of the problem here is that the timeline is so compressed. So the first murder in 100 years happened this morning, and then our second murder happened in the evening, and tonight Lucifer is going to let loose all of the demons upon the world. Like, why couldn't this be happening over the course of days or weeks with some like intercalary stuff that tells us more about the characters in the world, and doesn't need to be like a ton of content, but gives us a little bit of, just mentally, a little bit of a break in between these events. I don't know that it's benefiting from sort of having all of this stuff pushed right up against events against one another.
Nerissa. Do you hear me, Nerissa? Was I too late?
So, like, what happens to Nerissa?
Goodbye, Nerissa. May Ain Soph make you whole again.
So this is the power of an exorcist. I've dreamed of
I
seeing
still
this.
don't like you.
It looks a bit different than I imagined, however. What's happening to her?
Ada, look out!
Huh?
Halt, Nerissa.
Okay, that's a lot of implicit action that's happening in this dialogue scene. I don't have a clear fix for this. But I do think that there's something a little bit off about this writing. Starting with, so this is the power of an exorcist. It looks a little bit different than I imagined. What do you mean? Like, what does it look like? We're actually not seeing it, right? Like, as a player, the game is not presenting me with the visual that you are referring to, right? So you could like describe what that looks like, and that is how exposition happens through dialogue. But just referring to it doesn't really work that well. Like I don't have the same kind of sympathetic response. Like it doesn't resonate with me because I don't actually know what you're looking at, especially compared to what you were expecting to see and what's happening. And then this action scene of one character apparently attacking another while they're not aware. Like, that's the part that I think is really problematic, is that it's not that one of these characters is attacking another, and that happens through sound effects and like a little bit of screen shake. That's okay. It's the part where Ada is apparently situated such that she doesn't see that Nerissa is coming to attack her. So there's an important like positional element. There's a spatial element to this that matters to the story that's being told, of one person whose back is turned when somebody else attacks them. And that doesn't get communicated through this kind of an interface. And that, I think, you could fix. You just don't do that. Don't tell the story in a way that spatiality matters so much. But for me, trying to sort of like follow along with this narrative, it's presented in a way where it feels really important for me to know where Ada is standing and where Nerissa is standing, and is there anyone in between them, and whose attention is where. And that's that's not a good narrative to present through this format, because those important parts of it just get lost. And as a player, as somebody who's receiving it, it feels like it's lost, right? Like I'm very aware of all of the things that this format of storytelling can't give me.
Good. I've stunned her.
Okay, right,
Are
okay.
you all right, Sister Ada?
Yes. You came just in time. My thanks, Virgil.
Ein Sof, save us. Another possession. Another killing. How is this possible?
Where was Abbot
Who is
Gregory?
responsible?
Where'd he come from?
Virgil, you have failed us. How could you allow this to happen?
Unfortunately, Father, I believe you are primarily responsible. We should have listened to Ada.
Oh, because there's demons in the body.
She warned us about the contaminated body, and its demons spread, just as she said.
We must act now. We can't waste any more time bickering about who's to blame. The daemon within Nerissa spoke of Lucifer's return. He walks among us.
It's perverse that they would return now on the holiest of days.
Oh, is it the
Why?
holiest of days?
Are we being punished?
It doesn't matter why. The Abbey is unsafe, Father. Cancel the Mass. Send the pilgrims home. If you proceed, you are risking all their lives.
No, Father. You must stay the course. We've worked too hard for this moment. I have decoded the ancient hymn of communion. The Mass can proceed as planned.
What are you talking about? That's not... No, that's...
This chance will not come again for another century. It's literally the last chance we have in our lifetimes.
What is the significance of that hymn? Why must it be sung tonight?
According to Augustine's research, it honors Saint Walpurga and her victory in a way uniquely pleasing to Ein Sof.
I protest. But if you absolutely must hold the Mass, at least allow me to guard you at the altar. You are putting yourself in danger. What if you were possessed?
That may be unwise, Father. Surely if things are as dangerous as you say, nobody should be trusted. How do we know this supposed exorcist is not the pawn of Lucifer?
That's absurd! You witnessed the exorcism!
No, I saw her turn a woman into a rabid beast.
Whoa.
What really transpired in the ether when she supposedly exorcised these demons? She invokes the demons' names. She knows them more intimately than any of us.
I'm sorry, wait, hold on. Are you... Is Augustine denying the murders? Like, is the claim that these murders didn't actually happen the way that I'm saying, that I'm, like, forcing false confessions from people by corrupting them? What is your deal, Augustine? Just shut up,
Them
dude.
names to control them and then banish them. You know this.
Or perhaps you are being used by them. How would we know?
The only thing that possesses me is the flame of Ein Sof. I shouldn't have to defend myself.
Actually, what Augustine says makes sense. We should be extra cautious, just in case. I don't want you at the Mass. If you truly believe Lucifer lurks at my abbey, find him. Unmask him. Search the grounds as you like, but stay away from the chapel or I will have you put in a cell.
Jesus.
Nothing can be permitted to interrupt the Mass and the hymn. Especially after the events of today. Saint Walpurga deserves to be honored for her victories. Inquisitor, Augustine, come. We have much to prepare. Very wise.
Wow, okay.
As always.
It would be best if you were wrong, Ada.
But I'm filled with dread.
That's because it is. Lucifer will strike tonight, Virgil. I only pray he
Some of
strikes
these
at me
lines
instead
got
of at the Mass.
changed, I think, very late in the process. like after recording was done, or in a way that made it difficult to sort of get sort of total recording of everything. I think this is what it feels like to me, because these lines don't quite match up and they don't quite have the voiceover.
Stay vigilant.
Okay, that was great. We're gonna stop there and pick it up again tomorrow, I think. I, for some reason, I think there's one more chapter to this, but I am not 100% sure why I think that. So we'll see. There's at least one more chapter. We'll pick up there and see how far this game takes us. I'm in, like I said, I love the concept of it. I love the play of it. I love the gameplay, and I love the narrative premise. I think I have issues with the execution of that narrative, and some of it I think is some of it is just like, it's not quite the kind of narrative that I want, right? Like, I'm not into that that type of horror that sort of, you know, is so luridly focused on the grisly details of cannibalism or head exploding. But I think there's also some like structural weakness in the narrative execution. And so I'm curious to see like where it goes and if it can fill in some of those gaps. And also just sort of like, you know, if the gameplay of it can evolve a little bit as we go. So, cool. I'm going to come back tomorrow, 2 o'clock again, same time. Just do a couple of hours. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Thanks for joining, everybody. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad to be doing this again. And have a great rest of your day. Stay safe.